Today we are going to look at why things sink and float. So for our first little part of our digital lab here, I have a piece of clay and also the inside of a tea light candle, so just the wax part. All right, so I'm going to put the clay on this side, put the candle on this side, and you'll see that the candle has a lot more mass than the clay. So we're gonna see how that influences whether things sink or float. So here is our tub of water, and we're going to put in our candle. Now we're going to put in our clay. The candle floated, the clay sank. If floating and sinking is based purely on the mass of the object, the clay would have floated and the candle would have sank. And that's not what happened. So clearly it is something else and we need to explore further. We are now going to look at 3 different substances that are the same size. The same substances actually that we looked at in our first exploration. So I have the candle, this time in the little metal container, just so we could have the volumes be the same. So we have our candle here. I'm going to put it on this side of the balance. And I've taken the clay and put it into the container that the candle is in, so we can compare same volumes. Now if I do that, the clay has more mass. All right, well, let's see if we would have clay. And I'm going to take the container and fill it up with the same amount of water. And let's see what happens. Some of it spilled. Okay, so the clay has more mass than the water. All right, well, let's compare the water to our candle here in the wax. Oh, make sure the water's in the center here. It's going to influence stuff. There we go. All right, now whenever we do that, the water has a little bit more mass than the wax from the candle. So what is that going to tell us about floating and sinking? We figured out that it is not based off of the mass of the object. It's not just the volume, because all 3 of these objects had the same volume. So what could you look at that is a combination of mass and volume that could tell you whether something is going to sink and float? That's going to be the density. So if something is more dense than the fluid that you put it in, it will sink. And if something is less dense than the fluid that you put it in, it will float. So once again, here is our less dense candle floating and our more dense clay sinking.